Los Padres National Forest is California's second largest national forest, about 280 miles north to south, comprising almost 2 million acres of land. Wilderness areas within it, wild and scenic rivers within it, but the work of protecting this landscape isn't done. There's still more work to do. I think the biggest threats to these areas are potential development in the future, which is hard to anticipate. Areas that are outside of wilderness, a lot of folks don't realize are open to road construction, development, power line transmission, all sorts of things. If we went back 100 years, you'd have a hard time believing that so much of this area was developed as it is now. The biggest threat really is just population pressures being pushed upon these last protected lands in the Central Coast. The goal of our proposal here is really about three parts: wilderness protection, wild and scenic river protection, which in turn protects the watershed, and there's a recreation component called the Condor National Recreation Trail. Those three parts all form together to make sure that this area is not only protected for the future use of the wildlife, but also that our $4 billion a year agricultural industry, just in Ventura County alone, is protected from the water sources that feed that rich Oxnard plain down at the mouth of the Santa Clara River.
My name is Larry Hogan. I'm a winemaker and a grape grower here in eastern Santa Barbara County. I've lived here, this is my 44th year, and I love it here. From the standpoint of our business, it's critical for us to have this watershed to recharge our aquifer, which provides the water so that we can grow these grapes and make our wine.
All of these hills and canyons that lead down to the coast are particularly important to us, not only for their recreation value. We get out here and we hike and camp, but also because this is the source of our drinking water for the city of Ventura. It's a real basic need that this place fulfills for us.
Just hold Jimmy, huh?
My name is Coralie McMillan, and my husband, Irv, and I ranch in San Luis Obispo County.
Very good working horses. You need to have horses to move those cattle. No four-wheelers on this ranch.
Wait, wait.
My family arrived here in San Luis Obispo County in 1885. In 1935, my mom and dad bought the ranch here in Gillis Canyon. My dad was probably a little ahead of his time in understanding the importance of protecting large wild areas. He was very interested in the California condor and saw the condor go from that free-living animal to, you know, a domesticated animal. That was kind of his feeling.
I think wilderness is important everywhere, but I think it's important here because we still have some left to save.
So here's an overlay map of our proposal here on the Central Coast in the Los Padres National Forest. The dark green areas are existing wilderness areas, and these yellow gold areas and some of these burgundy colored areas are proposed wilderness and scenic area additions. What we're trying to do is connect these island wilderness to maintain what is a really amazing linear corridor of public land, which is extended several hundred miles up and down the coast here in Central California.
This part of California is very unique in that, I mean, we're just, what are we, 70 air miles from, as the condor flies from downtown LA. I mean, once in a while, I have to take a drive down to LA. And you come back here, then you really get it. It's like, okay. I really don't want this whole thing to go like this. I mean, I remember when LA was basically a small town, and I'm not that old, am I?
What we're looking at here is Pine Mountain and the Sespe Wilderness area behind me, and the striking white rocks that you see are Piedra Blanca. What we're working at protecting is the last stretch of the Sespe Creek for wild and scenic river designation, which is one of the last undammed water sources in southern and central California, from its headwaters all the way down to where it connects to the Santa Clara River in Ventura County, California.
Piru Creek is the finest piece of nature in this part of Southern California. It's virtually untouched. Almost every turn in the river holds fish, and it's perfect for spawning. It's just a wonderful place for wild fish to survive and to thrive. The wild and scenic designation, in my estimation, is critical. Without it, people could build a dam, people could drill oil wells, and take away the wild and scenic nature of this area.
Pretty sure it's a spike elk. Isn't that cool? So you got better eyes than I do, probably. Look right at the base of that canyon. Do you see elk in there? I first started coming out here when I was in high school. What initially drew me to this area was solitude, but over the years I've been a close observer of the wildlife out here, and I'm constantly amazed. So the Carrizo Plain National Monument is 200,000 acres. It's an example of a San Joaquin Valley habitat. There's a large concentration of endangered species here because there's no longer habitat for these species anywhere else but here. What we're looking at here is the Soda Lake. It's a prominent feature of the Carrizo Plain National Monument. So all the rainfall that occurs drains to the Soda Lake. In the summertime, that water evaporates and it leaves a layer of white soda or salts that leach from the soil on the surface. Soda lakes are a pretty unique feature. We get a fairly rare suite of plant and animal species associated with this soda lake here. We're very, very lucky that we've managed to preserve this area as much as we have.
We have to always be careful to keep the wilderness intact and to try to protect it from special interests. Woo! A rancher realizes all the hard work he has developed being the ranch, that he wants this for his children. He wants this to be his legacy. It's the same exact thing for the wilderness, that we're keepers. We're trying to keep this intact. And while I'm the keeper now, my children, your children, you will be the keeper next because it's generational.